So what we're doing at the minute is looking at the wood that is the cappings for the doors. Now, traditional wisdom with this is to varnish it, but I'm not always that keen on the varnish effects. It's very, very shiny, kind of looks a bit plasticky if you're not careful. So I decided that what I wanted to do was wax it instead. And so hopefully bring out the texture of the wood and make it look like wood should be, and that it shows the life of the wood as well. So what we started off with was I used some pure tung oil, gave it a layer of that, and then what I've done is dollop on a load of a good quality beeswax, and this is slightly stained as well to a darker colour. So what you can see there is after I put the beeswax on, and what I do is heat it with a heat gun to melt the wax and then brush it across to get a nice good loading of wax to start off with. And so what I'm doing now is just sanding that, polishing that back a little bit with a hard polisher. So that's got quite a lot of wax on it. And just running that over just to take the top layer of the wax off. Just like that. And then once that's done, we'll show you what happens to the next part. So after the hard polish, we then go on to a soft polisher. I've just melted a little bit of beeswax onto the polishing face there. This has already been used for 3 pieces of wood, so it's kind of getting a little bit second-hand now. But then we go over this and just polish it up with this, just to get a bit of a shine on. You can see that starting to come out now. Okay, so we've got a little bit of a shine on there. So what we do next is, with a piece of wire wool, we're just going to go over that again. And that's slightly counterintuitive because you're now taking the polish off, but what you're trying to do is build up layers of shine on shine, so that ultimately you end up with a depth to the shine, and hopefully one that will bring out the texture and the history of this wood. It's old, it's damaged, you know, it's got marks on it, and I sort of think that's all part of the history of the wood. And what you want to try and do, rather than having it looking like a shiny piece of plastic like you get in modern cars with wood trim, allegedly wood trim, I can never work out if it's actually plastic or wood, is that you get something that actually looks like a piece of polished wood. So we just roughed that up, and then what we do next, and this is a bit of an old army trick from bulling boots, is we get the heat gun and we melt the polish. Not too hot, because you can separate the laminate out if you get it too hot. What we used to do with the boots was actually use a blowtorch on them to melt the polish. But we don't want it that hot, and we don't want to burn the wood. So you just get it hot enough that you've melted the wax, and you can see there's various imperfections where there's been clumping of the wax. So we melt that back, and then we just give it a little bit of a wipe with a piece of kitchen roll, and you can see that just smooths off those few imperfections. And then we're just going to work our way up the wood like that, taking those little blobs out. So get it nice and warm again. You can see you've got quite a density of polish there. And you can see I've actually overheated that, and you can see that the laminate's lifted slightly, which was a bit of a pain, because that won't go back in, but hey ho, it's all part of the surface of the wood, I guess. Okay, so there we go, that's ready for polishing. So what we do now is just put it on one side just to let that polish just harden up a little bit before we go on to the hard polishing. Here's one I prepared earlier, as they say. And so now we're going to buff that again with the soft mop, just to get a bit of a shine on it. And there you can see that starting to come up with shine. And all we do is just keep on repeating that process. So we're going to do some wire wool again to get that back, and then we're going to buff it again with a soft mop. And then the final stage will be to go through it with a hand mop and just go over it just to get that final bit of polish and take any swirls out. And what you should end up with, hopefully at the end of that, is a couple of nice shiny bits of wood with some deep feature to it that looks like a piece of wood should look like. Right, so what you can see hopefully is that we've now got a nice silken shine on all my bits of wood. It's not perfect because the wood wasn't perfect when I started. Unfortunately I haven't got a photograph from before I started, but it was a bit of a state. All the varnish had come off, it's cracked and peeling, and they were really dog-eared. And what I'm hoping is that by polishing them like this with a furniture polish, that the future maintenance will be better, because with varnish it cracks and crazes, and the only way to really redo it is to take it all off and start again, whereas with a wax polish finish it's much easier to maintain it. You just put on another piece of polish it in, and away you go. And over time these will become more aged looking and a deeper shine to them as more and more layers of wax are put on over the years. So fairly happy with that really. Doesn't look too bad.